Guys, good morning once again. Welcome to South Africa Lately, a channel that discusses South African trending news. We do, however, grab here and there from international news when it is trending enough to be brought here. Please do understand that I'm not a politician. I do not have deep knowledge in politics. However, I am a South African citizen who's also a voter, and I do believe that my views count when it comes to political affairs of our beautiful country. So let us read what Moeletsi Mbeki said when he was criticizing the political elites that rule this country. Yeah, it really came for them hard, and I think these are facts. But okay, let us read. Do bear with me because I'm trying to do this in a rush so that I can go do the stuff that one has to do to survive. This is one of them, though. A political analyst, Moeletsi Mbeki, has indicted South Africa's ruling political elites for contributing to the country's economic dysfunction by milking state coffers, while urging the private sector to get involved in finding a solution. Speaking at the Zubera Institute of Research and Development from a forum near Durban last night, Mbeki, who has often criticized the government, including under the presidency of his brother Thabo Mbeki, honed in on the reasons behind a crisis, illustrating by an economy limping along with just 0.1% growth, during the first quarter of 2025, a 32.9% unemployment rate. South Africa has one problem, and please don't listen to Donald Trump. Our problem is the economy, Mbeki said, alluding to the recent slamming of South African policies by the US president. Mbeki highlighted the mineral sector as providing the stark illustration of the economic systematic failure. While minerals accounting for 60% of South Africa's exports, the ongoing war between the Minerals Council, representing major producers, and the Mineral Resources Minister KAYBEE showed a self-destructive pattern of political interference that threatened the nation's economic lifeline, Mbeki warned. Why is the Minister of Mines fighting the mining industry instead of working with the mining industry? He asked, referring to the dispute that started with a review of the 2018 Mining Charter, which aims to strengthen black economic empowerment in the sector. Mbeki traced the roots of the current economic crisis to the country's fundamental power shift to democracy on 27 April 1994. Before that date, political power rested with property owners, the owners of mines, banks, and supermarkets. What happened was a transfer of political power from people who owned property to people who don't own assets, he said. The new rulers don't have land, don't have mines, don't have banks, don't have shops. So where do they live off? They live off the state. As a result, the political elite were milking the state coffers, with the public sector waging bill having ballooned to an unprecedented 17% of GDP, the highest globally. By comparison, developed economies allocate just 10% to public sector wages. The government collects about 2 trillion annually, Mbeki said, with 84% immediately consumed by two line items: public sector wages, debt servicing. This leaves virtually nothing for infrastructure development or economic expansion. This is serious, guys. He noted that the International Monetary Fund had repeatedly warned about the unsustainability of South Africa's public sector spending. Why are we not correcting this, right, guys? I'm asking, why are we not correcting it? The Department of Finance, the Treasury, a year or so ago revealed that more than 55,000 public sector employees, including politicians and ministers, more than 55,000 of them earn more than R1 million a year. If you walk into National Parliament, you walk in there and fall asleep, which many of them do. You earn 1.2 million, but without doing anything, just walking in, he said. There aren't many businesses that are profitable that give a livelihood to one individual of R1 million a year. The controllers of political power use their political power to enrich themselves through the public service they are milking. literally milking the whole economy to pay themselves fabulous salaries. Mbeki said the business elites, which employs 75% of people in South Africa, was finding itself increasingly paralyzed as it faced the threat of expropriation without compensation and had adopted a survival strategy of minimal investment. According to the latest data from statistics, South Africa youth unemployment is about 65%, and the expanded unemployment rate, which includes discouraged job seekers, stands at 44.1%, a ticking time bomb of social instability. When you have such a large population that is not working, then that's a recipe for disaster. And many of these non-working people are young people under the age of 35. So you are sitting on a time bomb, Mbeki said. South African Reserve Bank data shows that private sector fixed investment has declined for 7 consecutive quarters, with business confidence and is at its lowest levels in decades. The South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry Business Confidence Index has been below the neutral 50-point mark for 36 consecutive months. If you own an asset and you have a threat of your assets being seized without compensation, what will you do? You invest as little as possible just to keep the business ticking, Mbeki said. About 1 trillion was sitting idling in current accounts, with businesses refusing to invest because of political uncertainty, he said. South Africa's policies on land and property, including the recent signed Expropriation Act, have come into renewed focus in the face of accusations by Trump administrations that they have been used to persecute whites. Despite joining President Cyril Ramaphosa's ANC in government of national unity last year, the former main opposition Democratic Alliance (DA) has maintained its position to opposition to such legislation, launching court challenges to both the Expropriation Act and the Employment Equity Amendment Act. Ramaphosa defended the policies in Parliament last month, arguing that racial redress after apartheid was not a hindrance to economic growth, but an essential step towards broadening black participation in the economy. Mbeki said he believed the ANC would not actually implement the Expropriation Act. This is all posturing. They haven't got the guts to do it. They think it will win them elections, but Trump has called their bluff. So now we saw them shivering in front of Trump in the White House. That was happening. That's what happens when you bluff, he said. Oh my goodness. Anyway, guys, let us leave it right here. And then whatever your views are, kindly share them in the comment section. I am looking forward to reading those comments. And if time allows me, I'm going to respond. But if it doesn't, I'm going to try by all possible means to react to show to you that I appreciate your positive participation. That is Moeletsi Mbeki, child. So, hey, the man is not scared to take it there. Do have yourself a wonderful day.